The rents that low and moderate income households can afford to pay are often too low to cover the full costs of owning and managing a rental property. This gap between the funding needed to develop and operate a property and the available revenue needs to be filled for an affordable housing development to be completed successfully. To fill the gap, developers usually need help in the form of a subsidy. The subsidy most often comes from local, state, or the federal government, but it can also come from other sources. The subsidy is usually used to help cover development costs, which reduces the amount the developer needs to borrow. That reduces the monthly costs of operating the development. Developers often assemble many sources of subsidies to help fill the affordable housing funding gap. The low-income housing tax credit is the most common and generally the largest source of subsidy. Others include local loan funds, mortgages with below-market interest rates, tax-exempt bonds, federal and state tax credits, federal grants or loans from programs like the Home Investment Partnerships Program, local grants, land donations, contributions from charitable foundations, and deferred developer fees. Once sufficient sources of funding are identified to close the gap, rents cover the rest of the costs. Sometimes development subsidies reduce rents enough that low and moderate income renters can afford units without additional help. In other cases, tenants may have rent subsidies like housing vouchers that supplement the rent the tenant can afford to pay. Developers generally want to use the fewest number of subsidy sources possible because using more than one source of subsidy makes funding more complex. For example, each subsidy comes with its own set of legal restrictions. But the truth is that to reach the lowest income families that have the least ability to pay rents that cover costs, a developer may need to cobble together multiple subsidy sources to make the project work financially. A project is not feasible unless it covers 100% of its funding gap, so every source of funding matters. Even a small local contribution can be a critical investment that makes the project work, allowing the project to proceed and the community to benefit from a large amount of federal subsidy that would otherwise flow to a different community. To learn about what your community can do to help play this key role in creating affordable housing, visit localhousingsolutions.org.